Have you ever watched a team that everyone agreed should lose, refused to lose, and felt something tighten in your chest that you couldn't quite name? Watch the bench of the big team in those moments. Not the pitch, the bench. The expensive coach who has stopped giving instructions because he has run out of them. The substitutes who were meant to come on and finish the job now sitting forward with their elbows on their knees because the job is somehow not finished. There is a particular silence that settles over a favorite that cannot score. And once you learn to see it, you see it in every tournament. It is the sound of a plan dying in real time. We have a word for the team causing that silence. We call them the Cinderella, the fairy tale, the miracle. And every single time, the story we tell ourselves is the same. Nobody saw it coming, the football gods smiled, lightning struck. Isn't it wonderful and strange? We file it under luck and we move on, a little charmed and completely wrong about what we just saw. Because here is the thing I want to take apart with you. The deep run underdog is almost never a miracle. The underdog is a method. And the giants, the ones with a bench full of €100 million players going quiet, they are the ones playing on hope. Let me start with the team that should have ended this argument forever. In 2022, Morocco reached the semifinals of a World Cup. The first African nation to ever do it. The first Arab nation. And they did it not by accident, but by building something that looked almost boring from the outside. A defense that moved like one organism. Players who knew to the meter where their teammate would be standing. They didn't try to win a beauty contest against Spain or Portugal. They strangled the game, took the air out of it, and waited. And the world called it a shock, as if shocks of that precision happen by chance. Now hold that thought, because the reason I can't write it off as a one-time wonder is that it is happening again, right now, while you and I are talking. This tournament, Morocco walked out against Brazil, 5-time champions, the most decorated football nation on earth, and held them to a 1-1 draw, going ahead first through Saibari before Vinicius leveled it. They finished second in their group and drew the Netherlands in the knockout round, a proper European power, the kind of opponent that is supposed to end the fairy tale. And what happened read like a script written by someone who had memorized this exact recipe. The Netherlands took the lead late through Gakpo in the 72nd minute. The story was supposed to be over. The favorite had finally found the goal. And then, deep into stoppage time, in the 91st minute, a Moroccan defender named Issa Diop rose to a cross and headed the game level. Extra time settled nothing. It went to penalties. Morocco won the shootout 3-2, and the Dutch walked off the pitch in Monterrey wearing that exact bench silence from the very start. So now the fairy tale version has a problem. Once is a miracle. Twice, same team, same approach, different giants, starts to look less like the football gods and more like a recipe someone is reading from. So let me give you the recipe, because it has 4 ingredients, and once you know them, you will never watch an upset the same way again. The first ingredient is a defense that deletes space. Not a defense that defends, every team defends. A defense that erases the parts of the pitch where the expensive players want the ball. The favorite's whole game is built on finding pockets, threading passes into gaps. Take away the gaps, and the most gifted attacker alive is suddenly receiving the ball with his back to goal, 40 meters out, 3 shirts around him. You haven't outskilled him. You've removed the room his skill needs to breathe. The second ingredient is young players with nothing to lose, and this is more powerful than it sounds. Think about who feels the weight in these games. A 31-year-old superstar who is expected to win, whose reputation only goes down from here, with a sponsor and a nation and a legacy pressing on his chest at every miss. Now picture the 21-year-old across from him who was supposed to be home weeks ago. One of them is playing not to fail. The other is playing with the dangerous freedom of someone who was never meant to be here. Fear makes you cautious. The cautious player takes the safe pass. And the safe pass is exactly what an organized defense is begging you to take. That freedom has a twin, a collective identity so strong it stops being 11 players and becomes one idea. You hear it in how these squads talk, not about individual brilliance, but about each other. The big teams are often a collection of stars who happen to share a shirt. The underdog is a single thing that happens to wear 11. And on a pitch, a single thing is very hard to break. The fourth ingredient is the one the underdog doesn't even supply. The favorite supplies it himself. It's panic. When the goal won't come, when the clock keeps moving and the scoreboard won't, something happens to a team that expected an easy night. They stop trusting the plan. They start forcing it. The passes get hurried, the shots get wild, the defenders drift forward because surely the next attack is the one. And that is when the trap shuts, because a team built on the lightning counter lives for exactly that overcommitted, desperate favorite. The underdog doesn't beat the system. The underdog waits for the system to panic and beat itself. Now let me be honest with you, the way this channel tries to be, this is psychology, not a laboratory study with a number stapled to it. I won't wave a fake statistic at you, but you've felt it. You've watched a team that needed a goal play worse the more it needed one. That's the trap, and it is as real as anything on the grass, which raises the obvious objection. If the recipe is so repeatable, why doesn't it happen every tournament in every era? And here is the most interesting part. Right now, the conditions have never been kinder to the underdog. This is the first World Cup with 48 teams instead of 32. And the maths is quietly enormous. 32 of the 48 nations advance out of the groups. More mid-tier teams get a knockout stage than ever before. More rounds where a single organized, disciplined knight can topple a better squad before it finds its rhythm. The format itself widened the door the underdog walks through. There's a second thing the favorites don't mention: the body. This tournament runs across a continent in real summer heat. Brazil and Morocco kicked off in 31 degrees. Heat and fatigue are levelers. Talent fades when the legs are gone, and a side that defends in a compact block burns less than one chasing the ball all night. Late in a tournament, in that heat, the gap between the great and the merely organized shrinks, sometimes to nothing. So the door is open, the conditions favor the patient, and we have already watched the recipe cook a Dutch team out of this tournament. Which leaves the only question that matters to you, sitting there with the bracket in front of you. Which team is holding the recipe this time? And here I won't lie to you the way a lot of football content will. I'm not going to name a semi-finalist as if I've seen the future. Anyone who tells you for certain which underdog reaches the last four is selling you a feeling dressed up as a fact. What I can hand you is the checklist, so you can scout them yourself. Watch for the team that defends as one piece and barely gives up a clear chance. Watch for the squad full of names you didn't know a month ago, playing like they have nothing to protect. Watch for the togetherness. You can see it in how they celebrate a tackle like it's a goal. And watch the hosts, because home noise is its own version of this story. The United States, Mexico, and Canada riding a wave of sound that can carry an ordinary team somewhere it had no business going. This week alone, the blueprint claimed more than Morocco. Paraguay knocked Germany out on penalties. South Africa and Canada reached the knockouts in ways their histories never promised. The recipe isn't a theory anymore. It's the texture of this whole tournament. So let me turn it back on you, because that pull you felt at the very start is the reason I made this. Which underdog are you secretly, almost guiltily, hoping blows the whole thing apart? And be honest about the next part. Do they actually have the recipe, the wall at the back, the fearless kids, the single shared idea, or do they just have your goodwill? Those are very different things, and now you can tell them apart. If that question is the kind you like sitting with, that's what this channel is for, and a quiet subscribe keeps it coming. Here's where I'll leave you. This weekend, Morocco play Canada, a team that fought its own way out of the group, recipe against recipe. Two sides that were never supposed to be here facing each other for a place in the last 8. Nobody at that level is waiting for a miracle. Somewhere right now, between matches, a group of players is being shown exactly where to stand. Where to delete the space, when to wait. They are not hoping the favorite panics. They are planning for it.